It's Coastline Kids Online on the internet. Whoa, incredible. Technology, how does it work? I don't know. Coming up on today's video, believable sleep acting, some shouting, and mess. Wow, what a lot of fun. These videos really are the best. Yeah, it's jolly good. So good, in fact, you should press the thumbs up button immediately. It really helps me feel better about myself and makes YouTube think that I'm really good at making videos. While you're giving out clicks, you might as well tap on that button that says subscribe. Apparently 100% of people who do get given a pony the very next day. Based on a survey of one person, me, who was given a plastic My Little Pony toy by myself after clicking subscribe so that I could make that claim right here on the video. Anyway, what's the theme for the term? It's Encanto. And today in Encanto, we are looking at Dolores. But what special gift does she have? She can hear really well. She has super duper hearing. I'd like to tell you about someone from the Bible who had the gift of super hearing, but I'm going to use my gift of super acting to make it more fun. This passage is from a book in the Bible called 1 Samuel, and it's in chapter 3 of that book. Hello, it's me, Sad Sam. Yeah, you might remember me from the Coastline Kids videos about 15 months ago. I just wanted to clear up that this book, 1 Samuel, it's not about me, Sad Sam. No, it's about a guy who was born a long time before Jesus was born. It's in the Old Testament, which is, you know, the part of the Bible that happened a long time before Jesus was born. Oh, it's nice to see you, Sad Sam. How are you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm all right. Good chat. So, here are the people in the passage. We've got Eli, who is an old man. Hello! And Samuel, who is a young boy. I'm a young boy. And they're both in bed. Then suddenly Samuel wakes up to a voice calling out his name. Samuel! Samuel wakes up and does the classic thing when an adult calls you and you can't be bothered to go and see what they want. He yells back, "Yes! What is it?" Eli is an old man, so he's probably pretty deaf too. He's still asleep, so he doesn't reply. So, annoyed, Samuel gets out of his bed, runs to Eli, wakes him up. Wake up! And then he says, "Here I am! Did you call me?" Eli is pretty grumpy to have been woken up and says, "No, I didn't call you. Go back to bed." So, Samuel went back to bed. Who was the voice? Samuel gets back to sleep, finally nods off after a while, right, of tossing and turning. And then a second time the voice calls, "Samuel!" He wakes up, gets out of bed, runs to Eli, wakes Eli up, and says, "Here I am! Did you call me?" Eli replies for the second time, "I didn't call you, my son. Go back to bed." So Samuel goes back to bed. It happens, you won't believe this, a third time. Samuel! He wakes up, gets out of bed, runs to Eli, wakes Eli up. At this point, Eli must be furious. He's trying to sleep. Again, Samuel says, "Here I am, did you call me?" Pause for a moment. If you were Eli, what would you be thinking right now? I'd be thinking, oh no, Samuel is absolutely mad. He's lost his mind, or maybe he's eaten too much cheese and so he's having some quite wacky dreams. But something in Eli clicked. And he thought, what if this voice is God? So he said to Samuel, go and lie down again. And if someone calls again, say, "Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening." Samuel went back to bed again, and then, for the fourth time, the voice came, "Samuel." But this time, Samuel said, "Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening." And then God gave a message to Samuel for all of the people. Samuel had a super gift of hearing God. And back in the Old Testament...
Remember, that's the part of the Bible that happened a long time before Jesus was born.
Yes, thanks, Sad Sam. Back in the Old Testament, being able to hear God's voice was very rare. But the amazing news is that each and every single one of us, even you, right? Even you, yeah, can get this gift of being able to hear God.
Wow. Tell me more.
Can you seem like maybe a little bit more enthusiastic?
That's not who I am.
Fine. Right, I've got a little secret to tell you. Something that might shock and surprise you. Shh. It's not that hard to hear God's voice. We expect God's voice to be something really out of the ordinary, like a loud, booming voice with a fanfare behind it or something. Samuel! But often it comes as just a small thought in our heads. Even for Samuel, who actually heard the sound of God speaking, the loud voice of God, when he heard God speak, it was so unimpressive that he thought it must be old Eli talking to him.
I'm not that old.
Samuel had to learn what God's voice sounded like. And so do we.
Well, so what does God's voice sound like then?
It sounds just like one of your thoughts.
Well, that's not very impressive.
Exactly. God's voice is almost identical to our own thoughts. We really, really have to tune in to learn the difference.
But I thought that God's voice would be pretty obvious, that you'd know it's God straight away.
Have you been listening to anything I've been saying, Sad Sam? Oh my goodness, remember, Samuel heard God's voice out loud and he just thought it was some bloke called Eli.
Well, okay, I mean, if God's voice sounds so similar to my own thoughts, how am I meant to know it's God's voice?
No, yeah, good point. I've got 3 tests that you can do.
Great. I like a good scientific test, thank you.
Number 1 is the good-bad test. If it is good, it might be from God. If it's a bad thing, it's not from God. You see, these days, God tells us things to encourage us and to give us hope.
So, if I think God's telling me to punch a pigeon in the head, that's not good, so that's not from God. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, although it's a very weird and disturbing example. Number 2, is it in the Bible? You might not know the whole Bible back to back and inside out.
Oh, I do. In the beginning, God...
What? Are you serious? I mean, that's really impressive, Sam. Wow. I mean, if you're like me, right, you won't know your whole Bible off by heart, unlike Sam. But you can spend time reading the Bible or asking to read parts of it with your family, right? That way, you can know that if God tells me, let's say God tells me that he wants me to give some sweets away to someone I really don't like, that might sound like a bad thing to me. But it matches up with what the Bible says, that we should love our enemies. So I probably should give the sweets away to the guy I don't really like.
Oh, I wouldn't want to give sweets out to my enemy.
Exactly, Sam. Right, how about this then? Number 3, ask a friend. See if your friend thinks that the thing that you've caught sounds like it's from God or not.
I don't have any friends.
Oh, come on, yes you do. I'm your friend, Sam, right? You can ask me.
But Michael, even with these 3 things, I still can't be sure that it's God speaking to me.
Now that is true. You will never be 100% sure, but that's where trusting God comes into play. Let's have a little go, shall we, right? We're going to spend some time trying to catch from God. And we're going to use my favourite question to ask him. So, in a second, we will ask Jesus what his favourite thing is about us. And then what I want you to do is whatever the first thing is that comes into your head, the first thing, the very first thing, you're going to run it through the first through test. Is it good or bad? If it's good, then it might be from God. If it's bad, it's not from God. And does it sound like it might be in the Bible? If it passes those 2 tests, you're going to try test number 3. The third test, ask a friend. And you can say to someone, maybe your adult that you're watching this with, I've just been catching from Jesus and he said that I'm really funny. Does that sound like it's from Jesus? If they say yes, then good news. You've probably just caught from Jesus. It's as easy as that. Here we go then. Let's have a go. Why don't you close your eyes? Let's all do it together. Here we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask Jesus together, Jesus, what is your favourite thing about me? Great. Now that we've waited for a bit, what was the first thing that came into your head? Was it a good thing? If it was, I mean, check with someone, but I reckon it could be that you've just heard from Jesus. I know, you're like, no, that was just my own thought. No, I reckon that could be Jesus speaking. So why don't you check with someone and see what they think?
Wow. Oh my God, I've just heard from Jesus. Can I see some mess now?
Yep, good point. We should get on to some mess. Absolutely. Here is a messy bit from Sunday. Have a watch of this. What a day, what a video. Thanks for joining me. I've really enjoyed myself today. I hope you have too. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.